Hi, this is Matt Lawton with Astrological Winds channel, and gonna look at the full moon in Leo at 20 degrees today, and also a couple shifts of inner planets that have changed signs in the last few days, and also just a quick look at the week ahead too. But the important thing is this full moon in Leo, which is the moon at 20 degrees Leo opposite the sun at 20 degrees Aquarius. So we're on the Leo Aquarius axis with this full moon, and it does trine Mars in Sagittarius too, as the only other aspect that is within orb during the full moon period. So when you think about the moon in Leo, it really is the individual in need of some recognition in order to feel emotionally secure. And people will act out to get that recognition. And so it's being opposed by the sun in Aquarius, which is basically saying, listen, we don't have time for like people's individual desire to be different from the crowd or be special, because the collective requires everyone to do their job and treat each other with equality and justice, so that no one is considered better or more important than anyone else or their role within the collective. So that's the kind of opposing energies that are set up by this full moon. There's this Leo moon need to be recognized for our special, unique gifts, our talents, where we shine, where we like to basically show off that here I am, this is who I am. And the Aquarian sun is more of the collective energy that's saying, well, that may be important to you, but you are part of a greater whole. You are part of the human race, and you are also subject to what that collective is headed for. And so therefore, if everyone is trying to like fulfill what their Leo moon is and be the extra special person, then it kind of becomes problematic for the Aquarian view of justice and equality and balance within a system. So when I look at this, I'm looking at the way to resolve this is that, yes, we all have those special talents that are unique to us, and that moon in Leo, and we do deserve to get recognition for those things, but we have to like put the egotistical part of that Leo energy down a few notches and realize that the collective is very important and is going to like require from us certain things and sacrifices and going along with what is going on out there. So to me, what we really need to do in this time is to actually get the recognition we need from one another. From one another in the sense of like we're working towards this greater collective goal, and the people who are working beside us need to be the ones who are like, hey, pat you on the back, you pat me on the back, kind of thing. Because there's a lot of darkness in the collective right now. You know, this Capricorn energy we were talking about in the last few weeks, and now Jupiter is closing in on its conjunction with Pluto, and afterwards we'll be getting closer to Saturn too. So it'll be coming into orb with that Pluto Saturn conjunction in Capricorn, and it really does favor those who are already in power, the traditional things that work. So, you know, that's the thing that, you know, with Aquarius, it's like we need to make the system better, But like Leo can become very troublesome to both Capricorn and Aquarius by the individual bucking the system basically in its desire to show how special they are. So, that's one way of working with this, is just saying, hey, we want to recognize everybody's individual contribution. And maybe you're not going to be the next superstar of the world, but you and the people around you can recognize the gifts that you bring one another each day, and that you bring together as a group that's working on a collective vision or goal, which is Aquarius. Now, the other thing is the trine to Mars and Sag. The other thing that's really important to work with on this full moon is that what you want to contribute through those talents, through that Leo moon need to show your special side, has to be congruent with some of the goals of that group too, or your interest in it is just not going to be fired up enough. The trine will just kind of let it dissipate. It'll be like, okay, there's not enough of a challenge here to really take this on. So basically what I'm saying is you need to find something within the Aquarius collective drive and goal towards this equality and justice that Aquarius is requiring and improving systems, that needs to somehow blend with one of your talents and interests. And I'm sure there's ways, there's so many infinite possibilities in this universe, that there is something that is congruent between something that you are honestly really interested in and would actually help this Aquarian energy of the collective too. So that's what I really think this full moon's about. It's really just wanting to get that recognition, but at the same time, that recognition has to be helpful towards the group and collective goals of where we're going now. Couple other things to mention, and I did mention this in the February monthly weather report, and that was Mercury going into Pisces last week, and we had Venus go into Aries just a couple days ago too. So two of our inner planets changing signs, and Mercury is going to spend a long time in Pisces because it's going to be going retrograde next week and retrograding back through Pisces, actually even a little bit into Aquarius again, and then returning. So it's going to be like 8-9 weeks or something of Pisces energy in Mercury. And Mercury is weak in Pisces, in detriment and fall, and that's because it just does not work well normally in that sign. Pisces is wanting to have nothing to do with logic and intellect, and that's what Mercury is all about. So it can get us into a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of misinterpretations, a lot of mis or disinformation. People have a tendency to be more secretive, even deceitful, and that can add to that to the misunderstandings and the unclarity that Mercury and Pisces can bring. The best use for Mercury and Pisces is creative energy with words. So like artistic endeavors with words, like music, lyrical music, poetry, creative writing, things like that, creative forms of communication, other forms of communication that are non-linear, like even telepathy, perhaps. Like I said, really seeking out alternate ways of communicating and collecting information, but can also bring an incredible amount of disinformation. And I think with the retrograde going into Pisces 2, Mercury retrograde through Pisces 2, we are going to see a lot of disinformation thrown our way over the next couple months. Now, Venus into Aries is also weak. Venus is in detriment in Aries, and that reason why is because Aries is all about the individual, and Venus is all about relationships. And when Venus gets into the Aries zone, it becomes too one-sided in the way, or too subjective about the way it wants relationships. So doesn't do relationships too well, is too subjective or even egotistical about its approach about relationships. Now, can still be very like vivacious and energetic and beautiful and attractive and flirtatious energy, but Venus in Aries goes for what it wants in a very like assertive or aggressive way, and doesn't really care whether you like the way that happens or not. So like sometimes like Venus and Aries energy can be admired from afar, but not necessarily someone you want to get too close to kind of energy. So really, while Venus is in Aries, people are going to be definitely in their relationships. There's going to be a lot of like what I would call selfishness, really like really trying to get your way in the relationships, and therefore relationships are going to be stressed. In particular, this week coming up on Monday, Venus is actually conjunct Chiron in Aries, and I need to do one of these astrological weather reports on just Chiron and Aries one of these days soon, because that is a long several year transit, and it's important to know what that's all about. But Venus conjuncting Chiron and Aries is definitely going to be once again being a little bit the potential for wounding others because of being too selfish is really great this week, is a good way to say it. Not only is Venus conjunct Chiron, but it's square the north and south nodes, so that's like that can literally get to points of like ending disturbed relationships, separations, goodbyes, things like that. Relationships that are really disturbed and just really ready to be like separated from. So be careful in your relationships this week, because people, including yourself, are going to be very subjective, and without being blunt about it and being like Aries about it, being very like selfish in their approach to relationships. So otherwise, this week is really kind of calm. Otherwise, but that being said, how calm can calm be in this time of great change with the Pluto-Saturn conjunction and Jupiter in Capricorn also closing in on that. And if anything, it's kind of almost like the calm before the storm, with Mercury slowing down this week in Pisces and getting ready to go retrograde. And next Sunday night will go retrograde, and also next Sunday another big shift, Mars going into Capricorn. So we'll pick up on that stuff next week, and we'd like to get a couple other blogs on some of this background energy. I'm calling them blogs, but videos on this background energy, including that Chiron and Aries situation we have going on for the next several years. Anyway, so look to the houses that 20 degrees Leo and Aquarius are at, and that will be the houses that will be most affected in your chart by this full moon. And then any planets you have around 19, 20, 21 degrees are going to be getting hit by the full moon too. If you need help interpreting how the full moon hits your chart, I am available for quick little 10-minute reading on it for $10. And my email is Matt, matthure823@gmail.com, or you can hit me through comments here. And until the next time, signing off, Astrological Winds channel, Matt Lawton. I'll talk to you soon again, and smooth sailing through these Piscean waters ahead.